Jungle Jenny here. It's Halloween time in the Valley of the Moon, and I'm on the prowl for some shots of Sonoma's nocturnal predators. We have things like bats, scorpions, coyotes. Hey, what's this? I've never seen fur like this before. Welcome to another killer episode of My Sonoma. I'm Jugular Jenny, your ghost for tonight's spectacular show. It's Halloween in the Valley of the Moon, and that means it's a time to search for ghosts, werewolves, vampires, witches, roaming the vineyards in search of a good scare. So stick with me, if you dare, as we explore some of the most haunted places in Sonoma with Jungle Jenny. We dug up local resident and historian Carla Heine to show us where the dead walk among the living. Our other ghoulish guest is Cindy Wingard, a paranormal investigator from Gold Rush Ghost. Cindy will be using her psychic abilities to make contact with who or what is out there. So grab your proton pack and your dematerializer and join me on this haunted tour. I bet you've never seen Sonoma like this before.
My Sonoma, my Sonoma. It's a little bit wild, but that's just my style. It's my Sonoma, my Sonoma. With Jungle Jenny.
I'm here with Cindy Wingard, paranormal investigator. Cindy, what inspired you to get into this field?
Well, Jenny, actually what inspired me was the loss of my husband.
Oh.
Because of the feelings that I received and things that happened after his passing. First of all, me knowing when my husband passed that I needed to go home, and I knew that in my heart he was gone, and I had just left him an hour before that. The other things were little things like my grandkids' toys going off and talking when no one was there. And it was his way, I think, of letting me know that he had passed on. It just led me to go in and learn more and more about investigations, the afterlife, us being able to speak with the dead.
I'm just kind of curious, what kind of spirits are lurking around me?
Actually, you have your grandmother. Your grandmother's here with you.
Yeah.
And she's got her arm on your shoulder and just letting you know that she's here. So you probably feel her every once in a while.
I do. Hi, Carla. I'm Jungle Jenny. Nice to meet you. So, Carla, tell us real quick, how did you become the local historian here in Sonoma?
My mom and dad bought a 15-room house where there had been 5 murders, and we had 8 ghosts. So I began to become interested in other houses that were haunted and what their history was.
Nice. What do you say, ladies? Should we go find some ghosts?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Carla, give Cindy and I a chance to walk around, pick up what impressions you get, and we'll connect back with you in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, Jenny, I already have some impressions on this side of the building, so can we go this way first?
Yeah, let's go check it out. All right. Cindy, how does this whole paranormal investigative work?
Well, what I do, Jen, and what I get the most effect out of is taking photographs.
Oh, okay.
So I try to prove on film
Yes.
that there's actually activity going on in a place.
So what is it that you see in this photograph?
Well, sometimes you get orbs, which you have to determine whether they're actually orbs or dust. And the other thing that you can get is you can actually get photos that have faces.
Oh.
I've had photos with animals in them. This building, to me, I get a strong sense of at one time being a stall for horses or a riding area. I feel animal activity here.
So do you actually see horses?
I do. I see a brown horse standing over in front of that building myself. I also get a very strong impression of the Chinese immigrants. This was probably a port area at one time, but I also get a really sad sense of slavery. Knowing California as the history of the gold rush and all that, a lot of times there was a lot of slavery, even though, you know, we think of it always in the South, there was a lot of Chinese immigrants that were treated badly.
So Carla, what Cindy had picked up on her impressions are Chinese immigrants, big horses, a little depressive but busy movement. Does any of that make sense?
Yes, it does, Jenny. This building predates the original orchard that was here. It was a walnut orchard. And back in the day, Crocker brought in 8,000 Chinese
Oh my
to
goodness.
finish the railroad. And when they finished the railroad in Sonoma, they went to work for the big houses and in the orchards around Sonoma. Your impressions are very accurate, but they overlap different time periods. You got an impression about a horse and some sadness. There was a young man, they're the oldest son of the man who owned the house. He went over to Napa to party, and they had a big stallion and a big buggy. And one night he was coming back, he lost control crossing the Napa River. The horse, the buggy, and he all went off the bridge into the river, and he was killed instantly. His mother was devastated. She became a laudanum addict. She died not shortly thereafter. The house was sold and everyone moved on. The Chinese went back into town. The orchard was abandoned. You caught it. You got the horse, you got the busy Chinese activity, and you got that sadness from the death of her only son.
My Sonoma.
Wasn't that super scary? Now let's slither along to our next location.
So we're here at our next location at Haunted Sonoma, and Cindy,
Hey, Jen, I'm going to interrupt you right now. I'm already getting impressions out in the walkway of maybe an Indian heritage, and also in this room, there's a lot of energy here. And I've also been told to go outside. Can we go outside?
yeah, let's totally go.
Okay. I get a real strong impression of, well, this whole area of really sadness. Maybe there was a lot, again, it's that sadness that I pick up like when somebody's hurt or somebody is abused or that type of thing. I see a lot of people possibly trying to be converted. I don't know, but they wouldn't adhere to,
Like a religion?
right. It's like they were somehow or another punished in this area too. Well, I feel snakes. I feel those around my ankles. But that's for protection, and snakes are actually a protective sign. I'm really drawn over this way.
You want to go over there?
Yeah, I would. I would really like to go on the other side.
Okay, let's do it.
My Sonoma.
Ginny, this isn't a good place. This is where people died or are buried, and most of it came from this area. Maybe they were killed. I get it from the tree, like the tree all the way down. There's bloodshed. I don't know, I even get a feeling of maybe even execution, the death, devastation, the mourning. That's what I get, is the grief. It has me shaking, actually, is how strong that energy is right now. Oh man, this just makes you want to cry. There was just such devastation, and I feel like I'm standing on a spot where just murder, and so many. I can't tell you who they were. I think they were Indian. They were just slaughtered, is just what I get. They were just absolutely slaughtered. Women, children.
Just horrible.
Yeah.
Wow. So Carla, Cindy and I just walked over, actually on the other side of the wall, and Indians, burials, sacrifice, horrific
murder.
things happening.
Just murder.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I can, because this was one of the Catholic missions. Part of the object of the mission was to retrain these Indians out of their old Indian ways and into the Catholic way. The Indians here had previously sacrificed the bears and serpents because they were bear and rattlesnake worshipers. And the European priests tried to break them of those habits, and if they didn't obey, there would be a bloodbath. It was terrible. It was so primitive, it's hard for us today to imagine. The Indians came back so hard, they burnt this mission down 7 times, and yet it persisted, and they tried to free their sisters and their brothers, and the battle was horrific, and the blood flowed. When you left this building and you went around to the back lot, you passed First Street East. Underneath the asphalt, there are 1,250 men, women, and children buried in a mass grave, all Indians, who died during the smallpox epidemic. They're buried right there.
Wow, that's really interesting. Okay, so next we've got something crazy coming up.
My Sonoma.
Hold firmly in your right hand. Evil grin. Look right into your victim's eyes and lunge forward. Excellent. Stick with us as we cut to our next haunted location.
So we're here at the next location, right beside the Sonoma Court Shops. And Carla, give Cindy and I a quick chance to kind of get the impressions, and we'll connect right back.
Great.
All right, let's go. So here we are at this haunted tree, and I love trees, and I'm not really feeling too much of anything, but what are you feeling?
Well,
what's your impression?
Jenny, I'd like to introduce these. These are spirit wands, and
Ooh.
I use them to kind of see if there's spirit in the area.
Okay.
To be honest with you, as far as first impressions, I can tell you that I did get a noose over one of the limbs, or a rope with a noose over one of the limbs, so I would assume
Really?
that this might have been used as a hanging tree. I'm not getting a lot of spirit myself, so I'd like to show you what these do.
Okay.
And basically, I just hold them out, and if there is spirit in the area, that they'll usually either spin,
Okay.
or they will point directly at where they're getting activity, which, as you can see at this moment, they're pretty much pointing directly at the tree. I don't have an impression to actually tell you about here.
Okay.
Sometimes when something's too gruesome for me to accept or to deal with, I just won't get it. Something really, really not so nice happened here, and I just don't want to see it.
That's interesting. Well, let's go talk to Carla and see what she has to say about this historical tree. All right, so Carla, Cindy and I just kind of hung out next to this tree. Interesting stuff. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about this historical tree?
This was the town whipping tree.
The town what?
The town whipping tree. It's where they whipped people, Indians and Chinese, for
Really?
disobedience, for theft. Sometimes there'd be as many as 10 men hanging from this tree. And the standard punishment was 3 days and 3 nights on the whipping tree. No food, no water, no medicine, no visitors.
Oh my goodness.
And the little creek that ran through here, ran with their blood because they got 40 lashings with the cat of nine tails.
That's actually really interesting that it's such a horrible sight.
Sonoma.
So let's go to our next haunted location and see what pops up.
So we're here at our next location and Cindy is already getting impressions. So I'm kind of letting her do her thing, but I'm gonna go join her now. Let's go check it out. What's that?
It's an orb.
That's crazy.
Definitely the sandbags that are on the ropes. I got an impression right away.
Okay, and what are you feeling or what are you seeing or?
Mostly what I'm feeling, or my impression right now, is mostly just the jerk of a rope. It's a very definite, quick jerk. I don't know if it was purposeful, you know, like somebody killed somebody, or if it was somebody committing suicide, but definitely somebody met their demise by a rope in this theater.
So are you actually seeing the person? Or?
I don't see the person, I see the act. And I know that there's a female entity involved. I would assume that that was what happened, was the female was actually killed or met her fate here. I'm not getting any conversation, but I do get the name Aubrey or Auburn or something to do with that, and maybe it's a hair color. I don't know, I'm just getting that name. So. I get the name Philip up here, a male energy. He is a taller, very well-dressed man. He came to the theater to be entertained, and he dressed the part. And so he felt very important sitting up here. He's just here because he enjoyed it so much that he just continues to come back.
That's interesting. So Carla, Cindy had seen a woman.
I'm gonna stop you just for a second because the name Mary keeps coming up. And I don't know who she is, but she wants to be known. So I'm just letting you know there's a Mary here as well.
I gotta say, I know who Mary is. She haunts the second row of seats here at the Sebastiani Theater. She's got a favorite seat right in the middle of the second row, and every time somebody tries to sit in it, she bullies them out of that seat.
Well, that sounds right. She's sitting here going, Mary, 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 like, say my name.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, how about the woman or the female energy with the rope, and possibly she pulled on it or got hung on it, or do you know anything about that? Or
the most famous ghost of the Sebastiani Theater was killed right behind the grand curtain here in the middle of a live show. She'd been the stage manager for 20 years, since 1928, and she fell to her death from the rigging above us, from the catwalk, and she had been holding onto the ropes, and she lost her balance, and she fell, and her neck was broken, and she died instantly. And she has continued to haunt this theater, just the backstage area, because she was a stage manager.
that's interesting because you had said that you weren't sure if she had hung herself or it was a rope, it was sudden, so that makes sense.
It was sudden. It was a straight fall downward and smash.
And then you also had, we walked up and went up on the balcony, and there was a guy named Philip. Sounds like he's a well-dressed man.
Early 1900s maybe that he was here.
And he just hangs out here all the time, I guess, and watches his shows.
I know a little bit about the balcony. I know that it is so badly haunted that during the renovations, when they tried to upgrade the theater and they tried to do the renovations, they were able to do renovations stem to stern on this theater, except the balcony. There is something that holds that balcony back from bringing it into the present. Wow. So it's just kind of ended up as a tech area, and
maybe that's him.
Ladies, I'm having so much fun. I think we should go check out another location.
Let's do it.
Sonoma.
Oh, I just love a monster with strong hands. What is it, Wolfie? Hey, have you been digging in my graveyard again? While I'm getting my massage, check out this next haunted location.
We're here in one of the scariest places in Sonoma that's full of horrors. Now, we're gonna let Cindy gather her impressions and then come back and get the facts from Carla. So, you ready?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
This is a bad place. A lot of death, a lot of death. Jen, actually what I'm getting from here is a lot of innocence and a lot of pain. The pain was from a torturous type of event. And I see many, many little ones, young ones or innocent souls.
From this area or from this
From
building?
this building.
That were tortured, possibly?
Yeah, that's what I'm gathering. And I'm also being drawn over to this side over here, if we could maybe walk around. Oh, it just gives you the chills. I mean, seriously, it just gives you the chills. I get a little girl up here in the corner.
Is she sad?
Oh my goodness.
Is she?
Yes. And I get a name of either Edith or Elizabeth. She went through something, and I keep getting in the head. But she lost her life here.
And she's right up there at that window? Does she have anything to say?
She wants out. She wants to leave. It's a hard one when they're little like that.
You know, I'm particularly interested in this walkway here. Is there anything going on up there?
It's actually either military type or a police guard. I see someone with a gun walking back and forth and watching over. Yeah, I don't think they wanted people here other than the people they had inside. But as we approached the corner of the building over here, I don't know what's in the basement in this area, but I think a lot of bad things happened in this basement. It's almost like the feel of dread. I'm being taken to the basement.
Yeah. And that's their demise. That's
Something was going on in the basement that caused pain, death. It was all very bad. You know, there is a little boy that used to be in that room.
yeah.
And his name was Tim, or Timothy. And he liked to look out that window. He really wants out, though. He wants to go play. He wants to be outside. They're kids with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, different kids like that, or had some kind of a mental issue. So a lot of times they didn't talk. They weren't taught to talk. So their only ways of communication are showing me. He's pointing outside. And he just wants out. He just wants out. You know, Jenny, this is a really wonderful feeling. This is where all of the kids came and they had such a good time. You know, they were like riding on the horses. They could pretend they were their horses, and you know, the kids.
What everyone loves to ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And when I say little children, some of them are big kids, but they're all little in mind. So it's just, they're just having a grand time, and what a joy. And families could come be with their kids here, that type of thing.
It's a very happy place.
Yes, of the places here, this is the one happy spot that we found.
Sonoma.
So Carla, Cindy and I just got off the carousel, had some good impressions, little children having lots of fun, but we were also over at the Victorian Asylum, and that was a little different feeling. A lot of young children, possibly couldn't get out of the building. I know Elizabeth or the Edith girl had some head pain. Timothy, he basically just kind of wanted to get out, felt like he was stuck. We saw the bridge where maybe some police or military weren't letting people in or letting people out. Or does any of this make any sense?
Jen, it all makes sense.
Really?
Yes, it does. This asylum is over 100 years old, and you've gone from the most violent section to the happiest section at the carousel. The old Victorian building was used during World War II to house the only 45 survivors of the Philadelphia experiment.
Oh, right.
They came from the battleship Eldridge.
It was the teleportation or the invisible.
They were trying to
experiment.
achieve invisibility. They put a skeleton crew of 600 men, and when they brought the ship back, it came back with only 45 survivors. Some of those 600 men died instantly, some of them completely disappeared. Some of them, when they came back, they were part inside the metal bulkheads. Many of them starved to death here at Eldridge. And it was a huge military secret. That's why they had the guard dogs. That's why they had the military with the machine guns.
That's some secret.
It's a huge secret, and it's a secret to this day. This was originally the Sonoma Asylum for the Feeble-Minded. And there were children here, many children here. Sometimes people who later on were experimented on, where they put radiation in their brains, they bred twins, they sterilized 5,000 people here against their will. They had a huge fetus collection and the largest collection of brains that had been irradiated in the world. So this was a very, very violent place, and yet when it became the developmental center and they put in the carousel, and the people with Down syndrome would come to the carousel and their families would visit, it was the happiest place this side of Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
So it runs the spectrum, but it's had 100 years to run that spectrum.
Cindy, Carla, thank you ladies so much. It's been quite a trip and a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great maritage. Notes of O positive and B negative, with hints of fear and death. I wish I could hang from a tree with you right now, but the sun is coming up and I fear the show is over. Join Jungle Jenny next time for another exciting adventure of My Sonoma.
Jump, 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 shout it out. Sonoma. Jump, jump.